Hey, I'm Kait, and you're watching the Self-Love Podcast, Quality and You. Hello, my fellow high vibers. Hey, this is another episode of Quality and You, the Self-Love Podcast, and I'm your host, Kait Wojtek. I have a special guest with me today, Miss Vivian Short, the owner of Vivian Short Photography in Logan, West Virginia. She specializes in everything from newborns to seniors to weddings. And before we talked, pre-recorded this podcast, she says she will photograph everything. So
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Anything she can take a picture of. So you guys be sure to check out her stuff. I actually have an appointment coming up with her soon. I cannot wait. Her stuff is absolutely gorgeous. So I will link in the description everywhere you can like, subscribe, and follow her beautiful, beautiful work.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so grateful that you have chosen to come on the podcast today. I really appreciate you taking your time to share your story with us, and I really think it's going to help a lot of people.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad. We are going to be sharing. The reason that I wanted Vivian to come on was because she has this beautiful light about her and this beautiful joyous energy that she has been able to keep with her throughout all of her hardships in her life. So just being able to keep that vibration of that joyous energy, and she's applied it to everything from her business to her family to her friends. It's just been really consistent. And I think that all of us are reaching for that. All of us are trying to find ways to apply that happiness and that joy into every part of our life and keep it very consistent and balanced. So when I was speaking to her and she was sharing some of her story with me, I was really surprised to find out, that she had really been through some difficult struggles and things. And, you only see the happiness. So to learn that behind you, that had happened in your life, I found it very inspiring. And I thought, wow, her story will probably really help a lot of people, especially since, you're so the way you are now and through that, how you came through that is just very uplifting. So
thank you.
You're welcome. I want to go back to the very first thing we talked about, which was what I'll just for the purpose of this podcast, one of your first hardships. And you had spoken to me briefly about experiencing some bullying in school. And I know that's something that's pretty rampant in schools. So I was hoping we could touch a little bit on that and how you were able to find joy through those situations.
Of course. Yeah. And that's going to be super surprising to people that I went to high school with, because in high school I was always known as the bubbly, just everybody really liked, which I did have some. Of course, everybody has, spats and stuff as kids, but I mean, for the most point, I got along with everybody in school and was just really bubbly and got along with it. But in middle school, not much grade school was fine, but middle school was a really hard time for me, and I feel like it is for a lot of kids. And I think there's kids will be kids, but my mom and dad, they always taught me to be nice to people, to be courteous, treat people how you want to be treated. And that's what I tried to do. I didn't really stand up for myself in middle school. I literally, quite frankly, took my tray into the bathroom stall and ate my lunch in the bathroom.
Wow.
I didn't have any friends, and the friends that I did have secretly talked about me, didn't like me. There was some things that I caused on myself. There, some things that, you want to be prettier, you want to be, I was a little bit on the chubby side in middle school. Hollister was really big and in then,
Oh yeah, I definitely had some.
Yeah, I couldn't fit in that. And it was because I ate my feelings a lot, I think, as a kid, because of how I was treated in school. And there has been some of those, some of the kids that has actually messaged me and apologized. But when I was in middle school, it was awful. It was like I don't know, it seemed like they always had it out for me, or maybe I was just the target at the time, an easy target, but but it was a blessing. And my parents, when we moved, my dad got a job in Man.
Mhm.
Um, so we got an opportunity to move to Logan to be closer. And they asked me, they was like, Vivian, um, would you want to change schools? You don't like it here. Do
Yeah.
you want to change? And I was hitting puberty, and I started, not saying that you have to do these things, but it made me feel better. I started coloring my hair, getting me some highlights, lost a little bit of baby weight,
Just
stuff like
things to
that. And so I
kind of
started
build your
changing.
self-esteem.
Yeah. And even in those dark times, like I really, honestly, I'm going to tell you, and it's sad to say, because I was a kid, that was the darkest time of my life, like so far. And that's sad to say that, the most depressed time that I've ever been was when I was 10, 11 years old,
Yeah.
because of how I was treated. But when I came home, that was my happy space, because I have the best parents in the world. They're always been so supportive, so involved. Just if I didn't have that support system as a child, I would probably mentally broke, because
Mhm.
if I had a bad home life and a bad school life, I could only imagine. So I probably had it a little bit easier than some kids that have went through that. And when I said, okay, we'll do it, because my dad, he went to Logan. So he was pretty well known up there because he played football and stuff. So I was like, yeah, we'll try it out.
Mhm.
So over that course of the summer, I changed. Back even when I was in a dark place, I was still found a way to be happy. I read books. Remember when Twilight came out?
Yes.
I loved that. I was like obsessed with that. I found ways to cope, and reading helped,
That's
and how I could
that's what,
escape things.
yes. That's what I
Yeah,
really wanted to emphasize on, because
yeah,
you didn't just take that home with you and sit with that.
yeah.
You found outlets and
And
ways.
I'm thankful for that personality trait, that I have determination to be like, I'm not going to let this get me down. And at the time, wouldn't stand up for myself or be me back.
Mhm.
And I think now in my adulthood, I kind of struggle, and in high school, that with high school kids that I went to school with will probably know this too. But when I felt like that someone was coming for me or coming, I got super defensive. I would snap, and I
Like a
struggled with
trauma,
that,
almost
because
like a
like,
trauma
you're not
response.
gonna let, yeah, like come at somebody like, you're not gonna do that, because I was so like, I'm never gonna let this happen to me again. Like I'm gonna take control of the situation. Nobody's ever gonna bully me or make me feel less than ever again. And I struggle with that now. And I try to remember to come back to a calm place, take a second, take a breather. Don't,
Mhm.
maybe they didn't mean it like they said it, and it's just, yeah, I mean, in high school, it completely changed. And I'm so thankful for the kids that I went to school with at Logan. They accepted, like, I literally came in and they all accepted me with open arms. I mean, like the whole class was so nice to me.
Yeah.
It was like I was the new kid, but I was treated better as the new kid than I was at the school.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. They was all like, all the girls, which there's still like little spats, and you have like, well, she said this
Like,
about
like,
you.
yeah, like little
Yeah,
high school
kids
things.
are kids.
You know what,
But
probably though, I mean, just from hearing you, talk about this openly like this, you said something that you were doing, and it's now that I'm studying awareness,
yeah,
I know what this little thing is, but um,
hmm,
if kids could learn to apply this more, you said that when someone would approach you and some of that
hmm,
trauma would trigger back up, you
hmm,
would take a minute and focus and be mindful of
hmm,
the situation, and do some breath
yeah,
work type, like to just calm
yeah,
yourself down. And I think that if
hmm,
we could really kind of, there's so many outlets and free videos and stuff of learning how to
yeah,
do those little mindful things of the breathing and the trying to clear your mind for a minute, let that trauma,
hmm,
let that anxiety kind of subside. I think that if kids could take a moment and step back and do what you were doing,
yeah.
it sounds like
Just
that
take just
really,
take time. I mean, and there's like, I don't know if everybody does this, but there's been times like I'll be in the shower and I'm like, I should have said this back to them. When they said this to me, I should have said, but really, should you have?
Yeah.
Maybe you did do the right thing, because there's a reason why somebody's coming at you or being mean. It's not because of you. It's because of something they're dealing with internally that they have to react that way. So who's really better off in the end if you just kind of, I need to get more in. I'd like to get more in church. My family, my dad, he was a youth pastor.
Okay.
And he does really, yeah, he was doing that. We always would go to West Logan Church of God, and I need to get back because, like Jesus said, if somebody come at you and, he literally slaps you,
Mhm.
to turn the other cheek and then slap the other one, because in the end, you just overcome it. So
Yeah,
just,
I
and that's
think
the way I just found a way to escape. At least I wasn't around them all day, but I did sometimes take some of it home. And I'm lucky, like I said, I'm lucky enough to have parents that I could have talked to. And I feel sorry for kids that don't have some. I encourage, like, if there's kids that need somebody to talk to, find somebody to talk to. It don't have to be a parent. It can be anybody,
yeah,
a
someone of
friend
leadership
yeah,
qualities for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Those are
But
some excellent points that you've made. And I think that, I don't know if there's a lot of kids that tune into this, but maybe if
yeah,
I'm parent,
parents, yeah.
parents, I mean, if
Talk to your
parents are
kids.
tuning in,
Yes.
talk to your kids, just
You
like
never
Vivian
know.
saying, yeah, if she didn't have that structure at home, she's not so sure she would have been able to apply the mindfulness and to apply the outlets, looking for outlets
Yeah.
instead of carrying that home with her. So if that's something that your kids are struggling with and you don't know maybe what to do,
Hmm.
maybe take her advice
And
and do
not
what
every
her
kid's the
parents.
same. Yeah, not every kid's the same. I've always, and that's something I can appreciate myself, a determined human being, like determined, a strong-minded. I'm very strong-minded person. And if it's not everybody's the same, and it's okay. There's some people that's more emotionally weaker than others. If I was a really emotionally weak person, it's hard to tell where I would be. It was rough for a while.
That's
Um,
where self-development is very,
yeah,
it's so key in everything, even in situations
yeah,
like this, because if you don't take that time to develop, to become, like she said, if you are an emotionally weak person, she's not sure it would have worked as well for her.
effective.
So
Yeah,
that's why the self-development, really look into that and apply that mindfulness and that self-growth so that you can have that foundation of courage
yes.
where you need it in platforms like this.
And I'm kind of glad. I honestly, when I look back though, it's crazy to say, but I'm actually kind of glad that that was something that happened to me in my life.
I say that, Vivian.
Isn't that not crazy?
I say that like my
Because,
divorce and stuff. I say that all the time. I'm like,
yeah,
as bad as it was, I I'm I know that sounds crazy to some people, but
yeah.
once they get there, I think that they also look
And
back.
you learn to appreciate true friendship, true, like a lot of times in high school, when I got in high school and I moved to Logan in 8th grade. That was the first year that I came here. I went to Logan Middle School for 1 year and then I graduated. I went all through Logan, and I'm a Wildcat at heart. I love Logan.
I graduated Logan too.
Yeah,
Logan Gold.
Logan's great. Go Cats. But I cheered, I did all that, and I
I'm gonna
wasn't the
reach out
best
to them
cheerleader.
for sponsorship now.
Yeah. But I mean, people that when I went to school with would literally say, Vivian, why are you so happy all the time? Like, and I have ADHD too, really bad. Which I'm better now than I was never diagnosed, but I know I have it. My mom, I know I had it.
Mhm.
I did. I had all the symptoms. Mom would just never go get me tested. I just,
Well, she may
I
have
was so
also maybe
hyper.
that medicine. I think they
Yes. She just, which I found ways to cope with it. If I was really struggling, she probably would have took me,
So real
but I know
quick,
I had it.
real quick, and I won't, and only if you feel comfortable sharing it,
Uh-huh.
but what were some ways, like if you're ADHD, just in case someone is listening that's struggling with
Yeah.
ADHD, that's like a really hyper disorder, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
struggle with staying focused and things.
Yeah.
What were some
Mm-hmm.
things that you did to cope with that?
I found things that I enjoyed, and that was one thing. Like, it's hard to focus on something that you don't like when you have ADHD. Like, school was kind of hard for me at times because I like to talk. Every progress report I had talks too much. I mean, it's just because, but a lot of that I think had to deal with when I got up in school. I liked having friends. I was so appreciative of that, because true friends, people that I liked being around, that didn't pick on me all the time, which of course there was little fights that you would have in high school. I had fights in high school, but nothing like that I
Nothing
did
like being bullied. Yes. No.
It bullied. Yeah, nobody bullied me. No, I mean, if I did see somebody being bullied, I was like, not about it. I would take it for that person. But like coping for ADHD, which like I did, I'm jumping around everywhere. See, in adulthood, I still struggle, but in adulthood, I found ways to cope with it more than when I was younger. But finding things I enjoy, and I work harder at things that I like when I was a respiratory therapist, per se, not that I didn't like my job, but it wasn't something I truly enjoyed. When I found photography, I work so much harder. I never hardly get a day off, but it's okay because I truly enjoy it. And that's not just for somebody with ADHD, that's anybody.
Yeah.
But it's like works better for somebody like me, because if you're not really focused on something, when you have this, you can't help it, it's just hard to. Yeah. I never medicated, which that's, if people believe in that, that's fine. Not saying I don't, but I did.
Right, it's not for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't something that they felt like I needed, but there's probably some teachers that felt otherwise. So, but my mom just was like, you're fine, so she just, so, but
there's some teachers of
yeah, there's probably some teachers that was like, Lord have mercy, child.
So we were touching briefly on, and you saying just that, like even through that, your happiness has always been your focus. Finding joy has been your just push, that's been the driving force behind you. So when you ran into situations more into adulthood of like what we call toxic relationships, people that are at contrast with you and your alignment, they're just not in alignment with you, not vibing with you.
Not vibing,
Yes. Did you apply that same thing you've carried with you since those early years of the finding through that?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, I am the type of person, I love to help people. I will help somebody. If I have an old friend that needs a help, I will definitely try to do whatever I can. But at some point in your everyday life, if somebody's toxic for you, whether it be a relationship, a friendship, you have to get rid of it. It's just going to hold you back. Sometimes for yourself and your sanity, you have to let go. No matter if you love that person, no matter if you've known that person for years, it doesn't matter. It could even be a parent, which that's not my situation. My parents have always been supportive and the best, but even a parent that's toxic to you, sometimes you just have to separate yourself from the toxic relationship. And I've had a few that I've had to separate myself from because it was dragging me down. And I really pick up off of other people's vibes.
Sensitive.
That's how I am. I'm a very sensitive person. Not emotional, like I'm very strong emotionally, but when whoever I'm around, like I pick up, I'm always myself. You can ask anybody.
You are. I mean,
I've
known you through mutual. We've never hung out per se, but we're both from a very small town, so everybody kind of knows everybody. There's not really, and we were talking about that prior to coming on here. There's not really this like, well, hey, we've never met, so let's kind of feel the water. It's like, hey, I know your grandma and your
exactly. that's what I love about our place here, is because it's like as Southern as it gets, I guess, because, you
It's
know,
very
and
Southern.
just
Yes.
like, okay, a lot of people didn't know this either, because I didn't like announce it on Facebook, but me and my family, we contracted coronavirus,
I didn't
COVID-19.
wait.
We
I
had
did.
that.
I
Yes.
did know that because you told me
Yeah.
we rescheduled our photography.
Yes. I had to reschedule everything. We quarantined. We did. But what I wanted to mention about it was our community brought us food. That's what we do here. You know, we love each other. We support each other, and that's what I just, that was so nice. The church sent us food.
Yeah.
A couple friends would send us food. That's just so nice. I mean, you don't
We're
see that.
typically in the South.
Yeah.
We're pretty good cooks.
Yeah, for real. And I mean, you don't see that other places. And
No,
that's
you don't.
why,
You don't
I
see that a
mean,
lot.
you can go anywhere, and there's just nowhere like home here. There's just,
We have a
I
good
can
community.
appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
yes, we do.
I love
mean,
your
of
outlook
course,
on everything. Like you're talking about having coronavirus and you're still smiling. Like you're still
yeah,
finding joy. So the
yeah,
title to this just changed from the preserved from hardship to finding joy through everything.
yeah, literally. And I think a lot of times it was annoying to people, and I'm sorry if that was, and it can't, you know, too joyous. And my
Don't
husband,
ever
he's a
apologize.
downer.
Don't
He's a
ever
downer.
apologize for your joy.
He's a Gemini. Okay, my husband's a Gemini. That's enough said about that.
My
No, I'm
dad's a
joking.
Gemini.
I love Geminis. Honestly, it balances me out.
So what are you?
Because I'm a Pisces.
Oh,
I'm a
okay. My
Pisces.
Sadie is a Pisces,
Yeah,
a Taurus or Taurus. I don't even know
yeah,
how to pronounce it. But
yeah. However you say it, but I'm not super big into astrology, but I think it's
I like
cool,
it.
you
It is
know.
cool. I
But
like it.
he's like, which I uplift him too, and I think that's why me and him balance out, me and my husband, because he is like Debbie Downer, negative all the time, don't want to do nothing, like not like Job. He works like a dog, but like
But
just
like,
don't want to. I just want to stay home, you know. And I'm like, let's go,
buddy,
let's do. You know, we balance each other out. So,
that's
and
beautiful.
yeah, we've been together since we were 15. Graduated high school together, went through college. Now we got
So
a real pretty little girl.
she's gorgeous, and you know,
Thank you.
you're welcome. You know, that's not. That's another thing. You know, people from around here when they find out like how young we're having like babies, they're like,
Yes.
"What?"
Yeah.
And
I
it's
had
totally
Audrey.
normal.
I got pregnant at 21, and I had her at, I think 22. Was it 22 that I had her? No, I got married at 20. It was 23. I was 22 when I got pregnant, and I had her at 23. So now I'm 25. Yeah, she's almost 2. So I'm 25, and I'm thinking about like my pregnancy was so hard. Oh my gosh. I had the worst pregnancy with her, and I'm thinking about, you know, if we're going to have another baby, we need to do it soon, because I have high blood pressure. I have like chronic issues just all around.
Girl, you are
But
amazing me just as we're talking, like because
yeah,
I didn't know all of these underlying things with you. And for you to have all
yeah,
of that and you still are so joyous and it's not fake. Like I can like and you know, all my listeners are going to totally understand what I'm talking about, but you can feel her energy just through this call. She is genuine in her joy. So
yes.
it's beautiful. I mean, not to like interrupt you, but you just,
You're
you know,
fine.
all of these things that you know you're struggling with or that you're not struggling with, I
Yeah.
should say, that most people,
Which,
you
I
know,
mean,
become the victim
I
of.
do have a lot of anxiety. I do. I'm very anxious. And there was a time where, with my anxiety, that I felt like when I worked at the hospital, that I felt like everything that I've seen at the hospital is going to happen to me. Like I have chronic fears too. Like I'm scared of heart attacks and strokes. And I think it's just because of what I witnessed at work. And with me having high blood pressure as young as I am, it scared me. And my anxiety, like I have, when I had a little bit of postpartum after Audrey, but what I did to get out of it was that I just put her in the car and went to mom's. You know, I went to my support system, and because Seth had to work, you know, he was back to work after like a week, and I just had to get to my support system. And and I encourage, like, it doesn't even have to be family. Find you a friend, find you somebody that, you know, that you can lean on.
And that brings
And I'm not talking about like, sometimes leaning on can be too much, like not like a toxic situation. That if it's too much to handle, you may need to get, you know, more help. But it wasn't that for me. It was just like sadness because I was stuck in the house. I wanted to get out, and I was used to going because that was who I was, you know. And it was, motherhood was a quick, just like boom. I done good with moving out of the house. I did good with getting my job. I did good with adjusting with all that. But I'm telling you now, I love my daughter, but motherhood slapped me in the face. Like,
probably the
it was
hormones.
tough.
I'd say
And
those
it's okay
hormones.
to feel that. And I
It
thought
is.
I was
It
like
is
the
okay.
worst mom at the time,
I think
because I
that when
felt
we,
like, am I not cut out for this?
I
You know,
think when
so
we go into that, you know, just as women, and that is our, you know, like being a mother, that's the
yes,
best thing in my life. And I
best
think we
title
get,
I'll ever have.
we get really hard on ourselves. And it's, you know, I say this all the time, momming does not come with a manual. This gets, I mean, there's some stuff you have to deal with that's like, what the heck?
Yes. And I got almost 17 more years to go. So, you know, I mean, I just hope, and that's what I've been thinking lately. Me and my husband had this talk the other day, and she's getting to the point where she's starting to say words, and she's learning words, and we're trying to watch what we say because we're not perfect. You know, none of us are. But he was watching this YouTube video about, and it really about ourselves. This applies to yourself too.
Mhm.
Of plants. So you got one plant they did a study on, like if you say bad words, curse words, talk down to it, it didn't grow. Literally did not grow.
I've seen this.
Yes, and
Not
then
on
the plant,
plants, but on something else. I can't remember what it was.
yeah, and
Yes,
the plant water. They did it to water too.
that's what
Something I forgot
it
how it
was,
was
water,
going.
and it turned brown. And like,
Yes,
yeah, with the
and the
negativity, they say
plant.
negative energy, negative
Yes,
vibes, negative words. This is where your positive, you know, how she's finding joy through all of her
yes,
processes, finding
hmm,
joy and trying to learn how to apply that consistently in your life has
yes.
a lot to do with the words that you use
Words you
about
say.
yourself and
Speak
about,
life over your life.
Mhm.
Exactly. You got to speak life. If you sit there all the time like, I'm not good enough, I'm not, don't talk down to yourself. Uplift yourself. Give yourself pep talks because it matters. If that happens to a plant, if you talk down or good to a plant, that it matters. Imagine the human brain, what, you know, us as a soul and a human,
Yeah.
what it does to us. You know what I mean? It matters. And that's what we've talked about with her, our daughter. We are really going to try to push to say uplifting things to her. Like, you're so smart. We say it to her all the time. You're beautiful. We love you. You know, we want her to feel joy and to turn out better and to grow developmentally as a strong, good person. We don't want to talk, and it's hard because she threw a fit on me yesterday. I was taking her. I had a friend in Huntington who does pictures.
Mhm.
So, and I don't really have time anymore to take pictures of her because I'm always working, you know, doing someone else's. So I took them and got them done
You're so
by
dang
a
good.
friend. Yeah. And she threw a fit on me yesterday. And it was so hard to be like, no, don't do, you have to discipline them. But it's just, it was
To apply
hard
that,
because you don't
that
want to get to that.
mindfulness. Yep.
Yeah. And it's just like you want to. And I seen this one video on TikTok that has really stuck with me. And it was that she was calming her child down, like grabbing her face and like, it's okay, breathe, calm down. There she is going down. The set just went through with her. But like, calm down, it's okay, breathe. And that really, which the girl was older, and that stuck with me too. There's just like different things I
I'd
pick
say
up on different
too.
things that
Well,
stick with me.
I'd say your past traumas that you've overcame and how you know, maybe not even
Yeah.
at the time realized you were being mindful of
Mm-hmm.
constantly focusing on finding something that brought you joy
To
as opposed
find
to the
better.
contrary.
Yeah. To be better.
So doing that consistently throughout your life, it's only natural that you would bring that into your motherhood, even without maybe even meaning to, just it
Yeah.
really being a flow
I'm
state.
kind of a helicopter mom too. I try, my mom and my mother-in-law, they're like, let that baby go. Let it, you know, it's hard because I think I'm a little bit controlling too. I struggle with that. I have struggles that I still struggle with.
We all
Like,
do. But the look,
I
the
just,
outlook that
yeah.
you have on those struggles and the outlook
Mhm.
that you have, I mean, you literally take your focus of joy, and just through this podcast, I mean, everyone's going to be able to tell that you literally apply it to everything in your life.
Everything.
I mean,
And
from
my marriage,
health
because it's
issues.
hard. That's hard too.
Well, I
um,
mean, I'm single, but yeah,
yeah.
I was
You're
married, so
beautiful.
I do know
Yes.
that,
Well,
but
you know what? You know, things happen, stuff
oh
don't work
yeah,
out.
and
And
for
I've had to accept that too. Certain things. Just like I went to school for 2 years to be a respiratory therapist. I'd never let that my degree, I never let my license go back just in case.
right.
But stuff don't work out. I didn't like it. So I've done
Yep.
something else. You
And
know,
now
some
you're more happy.
yes,
So
it really has.
you let that joy and that contrast of
Yeah.
emotion that you felt with your old job, by following the joy, you let that pull you out of that situation, and now you're someone
Yes.
that's just blossoming.
I always try to find the positive and the joy in life. I just, that's has always been my main goal. I know a lot of people, I've never been a materialistic person, which I do like clothes and shoes. I always did in high school, you know,
But to
to
find
look
your
nice.
inner peace of joy in those things.
Yes, but I never wanted a mansion of a home. I just wanted to live comfortably and happy and have a family. That has always been like, and to be happy, no
And
matter
you've
what it is.
manifested that. You literally
Yes.
have just manifested that into your life. And I
Yeah.
think that
And
your
it's nice to
determination.
have things, of course, but um I've always, and it comes along. If you do have an outlook like that, it comes along. It comes to you.
Oh
I
yeah, law
bought
of
my
attraction.
first car when I first got married in my name. I had a associate degree in respiratory therapy before I was even 25 years old. You know,
Girl, I'm 30
and
and
I
I
was
just now
never,
have my own car in my own name.
and I was never a good student in high school, which I was, but I was like a CB, some A.
Mhm.
The first time I ever made straight A's, I was a senior. And I think it was because that comes with maturity. I was thinking about future.
Mhm.
Um, but I thought healthcare was the way to go because you make money. And my mom and dad, like, my dad didn't go to college, but my dad worked his tail off. And I think a lot of the traits that I have has stemmed from my parents. And it matters. That's why I like was talking about motherhood, because I want to be that for my daughter.
Yeah.
Like my mom, she worked on and off, but she mostly stayed home with us because she wanted to be involved. Dad said, you know, I'll work, don't worry about it. Which nowadays that's hard because it takes two incomes. In my home right now, it takes two incomes with just one child. But she got, dad made enough to where she could stay home and we lived comfortably. I mean, there was times that we struggled. A lot of people in school, in my high school, probably thought that I had money, you know, because my dad ended up getting having a business. Um, he worked his tail off. He worked at Walmart. He worked at Advance.
Mhm.
He worked at a factory. He never had a college degree, but he would literally work like a dog. I remember like when he come home from Walmart, his hands was black, and
That's where
it
that
was just
determination. You've
yes,
inherited that
and that's where my
determination.
determination comes from. I believe is my dad.
Yeah.
Because he was so determined to provide for us and he took care of us. He loved his family, loved mom, loved his, you know, me and Ethan. And then my mom was nurturing. She was always, she like, there was times that she wasn't as joyous, which we all, you know, are
Yeah.
allowed to
Our
feel those
levels,
feelings.
our levels
Yeah.
fluctuate, you know.
And but she was always loving to us.
Mhm.
Um, was like always trying to make when we was home a happy place. You know what I mean? Just like
And that's where
somewhere.
I bet that
Yeah.
now I understand where all this
Yeah.
you
Yeah. I think a
built
lot
from.
of it comes from your you know, your parents. And I owe everything to my mom and dad. Like
And to
I
you.
just
Don't forget, girl. I mean, I understand that
Yeah.
the foundation was laid by them, but you
Yes.
experience
And my mom tells me that all the time. She's like, you're so, one day we was doing some kind of like senior project or something. She was like, it was like, describe yourself in one word. And my mom thinks that she's not as strong. She is very strong. She went through chemo, breast cancer, all that. And she persevered. And well, while I was pregnant, but one time she thinks she's not strong was the point I was saying, but she definitely is. And I think she realizes it more now.
Mhm.
But she was like, describe yourself in one word, for the project. My mom, we was working on it together. And I was like, strong. And she teared up because she was like that. She's like, that was so important to her that she had raised. She's like, I've raised somebody who knows that that they're strong and that they, and I am. I'm so determined. I don't let anybody get me down. And I'm proud of that of myself.
Should be. That's
And
beautiful.
it's
That's a
hard. It's
beautiful
hard at
quality.
times. Even in adulthood, there's people that don't want to see you succeed. Always. There's
You're always,
always.
yeah, you're always
It's
going to have
okay.
that contrast person, that
Yeah.
contrast emotion, that contrast environment. I mean, there's always going to be that level that's completely on the opposite
Yeah.
end of the level you're reaching. But the point is, and I think what Vivian has done beautifully in her life has applied that higher vibration, that higher level. She has literally let joy guide her so much so that it has pulled her away from
Mhm.
toxic relationships, bullying. She was bullied. I mean, the stuff that you've allowed that to just pull you away from freely without, I mean, you're
It's been
trusting.
humbling, some of the
Yeah.
things that I have went through. It humbled me. If I would not have went through some of the things that I experienced, who knows, I might have been a completely different person. So I'm kind of thankful for some of the struggles that I had
Mhm.
because it absolutely helped make me as a person and who I am
And
today.
stronger, yeah,
And
and
you
in
can
your
take
trust.
your traumas. Yeah, I could have took my traumas and felt sorry for myself or let it get me down, but you can't do that. You got to take it and persevere because I mean, you don't want to be down on yourself. It's just not worth it. It's not spiritually,
That's
you
not in
spiritually
alignment.
you gotta, your soul, how you feel, it matters. So, and that's what I've always told myself, just to be strong and persevere and things work out and take risks. I took risks. Heck, my mom was like, oh my God, Vivian, we're going to have to, excuse me, I shouldn't have said, oh my God, but that's what she said. She's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to pay your bills because I literally just quit my job for this business that I made because it was during COVID and I had to make a choice and I had just got a building um, for the photography
Mhm.
business that I'm running now. And it was like, either you're going to work on COVID patients or you're going to have this dream. And nobody was going to come to me if I was a respiratory therapist. I was right there on the line. I was going to have to work, we suction, you know what I mean? We're working with the ventilators.
Yeah.
And I had to make a decision. Am I going to chase a dream or am I going to stay comfortable? And when you're not happy being comfortable is when you make big changes.
I say this, when you are comfortable, and we're
Mm-hmm.
never really comfortable.
Yeah.
We are content with
Content
the
with our
life we've created.
what's you.
Fear,
Yes.
fear keeps us there. Fear of the
Yeah.
unknown keeps us there. When you're able
So,
to do what you did and release that to
mhm.
say, come what may, I'm
Yeah.
all in.
And my husband and my mom, if they wasn't supportive, I probably would have second guessed myself a little bit because I talked to Seth. I was like, I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna do this full time. And he was like, do what you want to do. So
Beautiful.
I mean, what husband says that?
That's
I
beautiful.
mean, but he knows me though. He
Yeah.
knows that when I set my mind on
Don't get in the
something,
way of Vivian's determination train.
yes, when I set my mind, I do it. And I told mom, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to half it. I'm going to do it.
And you
So
did.
I have not been running this business but 10 months. May will make a year. that I've been running this business.
You are kidding.
Yes,
And
and I'm so
Yeah.
blessed.
You all will
So
see this
blessed.
when you check out her page, but if you go to her page, because I didn't know that information until just now, you're going to think that she's been doing this for years, not only because of the clientele she has accumulated, but because of the quality of her photos. So huge
Well,
applause to you, Vivian.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
And I mean, blessed. I don't know. I honestly, I think to myself, I'm like, how did this happen? I mean, I'm so humbled, and I never want to get to a place to where I feel like, well, I did this. That's not me.
No,
Not me.
I think we can all
I'm
feel that too.
always extremely thankful, because who has a studio in their first year of photography?
Exactly.
Who? I mean, that's hard. That's crazy to me. And people who has just come to me and trusted me and gave me a chance, that matters too. Because if you don't get opportunity, you don't get anywhere. So thank you to everybody who has booked, shared my page. I mean, it matters.
It does.
Even if you can't book a session, your shares and your likes, they matter.
It does.
And
It truly matters. I mean, and I think that sometimes, gets overlooked, but yes, it does. The support matters. And I'm just, I knew that having you on like felt right and felt super good.
Yeah.
And now that we've discussed all of this, and I feel like I'm a listener also and a host, like, because I didn't know a lot of this about you, and just that you,
well, thank you.
yeah, it's beautiful. So if you were to leave us with one thing today, other than like, the support system and the finding the joy, I mean, and you can absolutely go back to those if you want to reference that again.
Yeah.
Because it's beautiful what you've done with your journey and where you are with your life. It's just, I mean, I just like, it would be so weird for me to sit here and just like clap the whole time.
Hugs.
Virtual hugs.
Yeah.
But if you were to leave the listeners with one thing of, based around the topic of the finding the joy around all these hardships, what would you say?
I would say, be happy, find your joy. Don't let people bring you down. Chase your dreams. That matters. Your happiness matters. That's what I would tell them, to just be happy, find your joy, and definitely chase your dreams. Anything's possible. If you set your mind to it, anything's possible. So be determined.
I'm 100% with you. Absolutely. Well, Vivian, I cannot thank you enough for coming on today and giving us your time, sharing your beautiful, inspiring story. I know that anything that you set out to accomplish, you are going to, because you have proven that thus this point.
Well, thank you. And you too. This podcast, I really think you're going to take off, and it's awesome. I love it. So
I just want people to know that they're not alone in their journey, that all of us have unique stories, like you, like me, like all of our guests that we have on the podcast. And this whole thing is to help you. That's the only reason. Yeah. I mean, Vivian volunteered to do this. Yes. I don't get paid for this podcast. This is not something that we're doing to make a buck. We just think we don't want to see people struggle. We know what it feels like. We know what helped us. And we really truly feel by sharing that with you that it can help you too.
And it can help someone.
That's
exactly
what it's about. It's about helping you in any way that we possibly can, and sharing each other's stories, because we're all so unique and different. And that's what makes it so beautiful.
Yes.
So thank you so much again for coming on. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. We hope that you take away something from this podcast that helps you in your life. As always, much light and love.